It is Vivek, rhymes with cake. The post-Trump Antichrist that I predicted. Um, 50% for sure. Absolutely. He's exactly what I warned you guys about. And when I say you guys, I'm talking about, well, not just conservatives, but mostly conservatives, because you guys will be the ones who enable this dark path for our country, which is actually like the dark path that we're on currently as presented verbally, the rhetoric of the dark path we're on, right? The way they exaggerate and hyperbole, these GOP folks will actually be on something that's actually that bad, much worse, perhaps. And currently on the trajectory that we're on, not that the left is necessarily any better, I would see them potentially taking us on a similar path as well. But the trajectory right now that we have, the door to hell is being opened by the American right wing, which is not unlike a lot of right-wing factions across the globe. I mean, if you go around the globe, go ahead and Google what the most conservative countries are. People like to talk about socialism. Show me where it works. Everywhere they try socialism, it fails, right? Go show me where an extremely conservative country looks like a place that you want to live. The more conservative a country is, from what I've seen from my research, it gets really, really dark, right? So currently, and this can change, right? There was a time when the left was the most violent in terms of they were doing bombings and all this kind of stuff. A lot of terrorism coming from the left. Now things have changed up, right? I think that the 50% that Vivek rhymes with cake is definitely what I was warning you guys about. Let's just rewind for those of you guys that didn't see my prediction. I said that Trump had opened the door to hell, right? What was that movie, Event Horizon or something like that? Even Doom, I think Doom, there was like a gateway to hell or something, all the demons come through. So the guy who opens the gateway to hell is not necessarily the biggest threat, right? You're just opening up the gateway, but it's the monsters that are going to come through. That's what you need to worry about. I think there's a similar concept in Superman as well. One of the Superman movies where there was that guy with the horns, I forgot his name, and he was trying to was he coming from hell? Or wherever he's coming from, there's a lot of like demon type characters that were going to come through to Earth, and they're trying to open up this gateway. That's what Trump did, right? And the prediction I made is that people are worried about him, but Trump is going to be like a choir boy compared to what's coming next. Because here's the big danger. A lot of times in Americans, we got the tunnel vision. We hyper focus on one little thing, and then we miss the perspective, right? I look at everything, right? I'm looking at the full perspective. I'm not just like, oh, Trump, oh, Biden, no. I'm looking at the full perspective. I'm looking at what this means for the future. I'm looking at, extrapolating where we're headed as a country. And what I predicted was the biggest danger from Trump is that he opened this gateway. In other words, he basically wrote the playbook, which is the path to hell for this country, right? He demonstrated it. Now, to do the stuff that he did would have been very risky, right? It was risky, right? So for other people that would like to take our country in a very, very dark path, previously they were afraid to, right? Afraid of the consequences, afraid of, being held accountable, right? This is America. They're not going to allow me to do X, Y, and Z. So that fear has sort of been an invisible sort of I don't know what you want to call it, cage that's sort of kept us from going too far off the rails, because No one wants to be the one that goes too far and then find themselves in prison or something, right? So, as crazy as previous presidents have been and politicians, they always kept within certain bounds. Trump busted through a lot of those bounds and showed people that no, you can do a lot of crazy stuff and get away with it. There's a formula to do it. So he demonstrated how this can be done. Enough charisma, integration with, partisan media operating as a massive propaganda machine. You combine those two things together, you can basically Pied Piper. You can sort of intoxicate. You can, for lack of, that's not the word I wanted to use, but for lack of a better word, you can sort of brainwash a base, right? You pick a base that is most vulnerable to the tactics you want to employ, right? And you can basically hypnotize them, right? Get them all caught up in your personality. I alone can save this country, blah blah blah, right? And then they get seduced, right? And then you can't just do that because the media is going to be exposing a lot of the stuff that you're doing, right? So you've got to be in bed with the media, right? You have to be in bed with the media to where they can sort of isolate the people that you're targeting from the reality of what you're doing, right? Construct an alternative reality where you're actually the good guy and you're fighting for the little man, whatever it is, right? So when you combine those two things, you can almost get away with anything you want, right? Because no matter how bad or how corrupt a thing you do, the propaganda machine will just basically say it's not. Like, so you do something really, really illegal. Propaganda machine will say, no, it wasn't illegal. It's actually fine. It's been done before. And and it's just the mainstream media. And they're doing it because they hate him and this and that. And they, no matter what it is, almost anything, you're invincible because whatever it is that you're doing that's bad or dangerous for the country will automatically get reworded to, oh, it's not a big deal, oh, it's whatever. But what about what those guys are doing? Look at what they're doing, not they're the ones, right? So Trump wrote that playbook. I don't want to give him all that much credit. He was kind of the guinea pig, right? Everybody else was like, look, man, I really want to, accumulate a lot of power and do all kinds of, craziness. But I'm afraid. I don't want to go to prison, man. If I do that, they're probably going to da-da-da-da. And this government is so big and someone in the government, this and whistleblowers and da-da-da-da, right? They were so like, they push the envelope, but then at a certain point, they're like, okay, I don't want to go too far. I'm not trying to go to prison. But they all of these potential future Antichrist, evil, greedy savages, intoxicated with the pursuit of power, have been sitting back watching Donald Trump do whatever he wants and get away with it, right? Time after time. And more importantly, watching how sloppy he is and he still gets away with it. That's an important detail. So it's not just that he's getting away with it, it's that he's sloppy and he's getting away with it. So someone smarter than Trump, someone more strategic than Trump, right? Vivek rhymes with cake. Imagine what they could do, right? Trump is unstable, right? If you read every transcript from every time he's ever spoken, right? If you like him, I've always tell people this is the trick. If you want to see Trump's true colors, read his transcripts. Don't listen to him. If you like him, you're gonna miss it, right? He has a power of communicating with emotions, right? So if you like him, when he speaks, he's gonna always sound so eloquent and this and that and this and, or whatever it is, like whatever he projects himself as this character. Like I always say, he plays a character on TV, right? And if you like him, when he speaks, you're going to see that projection, right? But the magic comes from his like the way he speaks, his tone of voice. Like people don't like him, they don't recognize it. They just think, oh, he's just a buffoon. No. He is an entertainer and he's very skilled with this emotional communication, right? So if you listen to him, his tone of voice, his body language or whatever, he will seem strong and powerful, and he's telling the truth and whatever, and he doesn't care about anything. Right? All the stuff that he projects, the character he plays on TV, you believe in it, right? But the power, if you want to look at this in a mystical sense, comes from, again, the oral, like the tone of his voice. You know, the American people, whatever he does, like it's seductive, right? But you can take all that power away if you remove Trump and you just examine the words, right? Examine just about every single transcript of any time he has spoken. Just look at the raw words. Now you have to be really, really like super cult mode to read his words and how, you know, how like insane the stuff he says, and you know, and to not recognize it by the words alone. If you're listening to him, yeah, you're not gonna get it. But if you read the transcripts and you're like, oh, what he said, this got to be a typo. Like, it's funny. I have a friend who likes Trump, and one time I told him some craziness that Trump said, and he thought it was like, oh, liberal media, something or another, whatever. Like, he was doubting it. I'm just like, this guy, this is my friend. He legit has never really heard Trump speak, because the thing I was telling him was not surprising. This is kind of stuff Trump says all the time. Think about it. If you like Trump, and I'm telling you he's saying something crazy like he always does, and you're shocked instead of expecting it, right? Anyone who, like, you know, rationally listens to Trump and actually, you know, hear what he's saying, you're not going to get shocked that he said some stuff. Like, I forgot what it was, but whatever he said, it wasn't shocking. It wasn't the most shocking thing he said. But my friend was legit, like, questioning it. Oh, it's got to be a fake news thing. And he's like, how did you get this? How did you even hear this? He doubted, like, how I could even hear Trump in a meeting. It was on TV. It was live. It wasn't even edited. Anyway. Vivek definitely represents 50% of what I predicted. And what that is, one second, let me see who's in the chat. Stars, hello man, do you think Ramaswamy will actually win any states in the primary? I think so, man. Shiva should have been in the debate. Shiva he represents the 50% of what I said. All of Trump's failings removed, right? Trump was able to do so much as a buffoon and just saying all kind of craziness and unstable, and he's just sloppy, man. Vivek is not sloppy. Vivek is smart, right? He's articulate, and I think he has that strategic thing, right? So this is exactly what I was predicting, right? So not only that, he has the plug into the partisan media thing, right? So he's pandering to the partisan media. He goes on their shows and whatever, right? And he's slick. He knows what to say, right? The only part, and this part may be there, I don't know the man, right? He may be an okay guy. I mean, I really doubt it, but maybe an okay guy, or at least, you know, not worse than what we already have. But I can't speak to that. I haven't gotten enough information to make that assessment. So that's the only piece that's missing from the Antichrist that I predicted that Trump would have opened the door to, that would really, really bring some dark days for this country. All I can speak to is he's got the tactic and the intelligence. So if we go back in time, replace Trump with Vivek, he would still be in office now, and whatever it is he was trying to get done, it will be getting done, right? So if you're afraid, for those who don't like Trump and you're afraid of what he did and damage to the country, it would have been way worse with Vivek, because I think Vivek, at least, and I'm really speculating. I don't really know much about the guy. I'm just talking about what I've observed, right? His techniques and skills. But I think it's safe to say he would at least be on the level of what Trump was trying to do, right? But the danger is he would have gotten more of that stuff done. Trump was trying to do certain things, he's doing it sloppily, and by being sloppy, he was limited by how much he could accomplish. So the success rate would be much higher with Vivek, and as a result, he probably would still be in office. I think he would have been more slick with the pandemic, because that was one of the big things that hurt Trump. Vivek seems very, very clever, man. I don't know how he would play it because, you have this rhetoric of anti-vaccine and oh, it's a bioweapon, whatever, come from the people who be supporting him. How does he pander to them and not allow the kind of destruction that Trump did, just being irresponsible, like, oh, it's gonna go away? I don't know, but he's to me, he's the kind of guy that would have figured that out. He would have found a way to dance a dance where he's doing this is a good thing, doing the right thing, or at least making it look like the right thing, to where he seems like he's protecting Americans in the pandemic and dealing with, all people are dying and getting sick and whatever, and Vivek is out there actually doing something to protect us. Again, he's clever enough that maybe he's not really doing much, but he could give the presentation that he is. But I could see him finding a lane, carving out a lane where it's, oh, this stuff about lockdowns is evil, and this vaccine, I don't know. I mean, I'm not an anti-vaxxer, but I want to do things the right way, and I want to make sure Americans are safe. I want to make sure that this thing is safe, and we're going to follow the protocols, and da-da-da. So speak like he would do that. He would speak on the level, like he's not just saying like, oh, he's addressing like the normies and whatever. But ultimately, what he might be doing is actually not that effective, but people feel like it is. And that's what's important. So when the election comes, Biden loses and Vivek wins a second term and continues. So he would have had a first term accomplishing more than Trump did, and then in a second term, can't you imagine? So the only piece that's missing is I don't know his morality. I don't know his character. Vivek, I mean, he's definitely a dishonest guy, that's for sure. But that's not the worst thing in the world. All our politicians are dishonest. The problem is the savagery, right? What's the word? Like a psychopath type situation that we have. A lot of our leaders have that. CEOs as well. How much tolerance does he have for death and destruction, to where he's directly causing it and he doesn't care? I don't know, right? How much pain and suffering would he be okay with before he has like a conscience and like, okay, this is wrong? So I don't know his savage level. He definitely has some savage level. So that's the only piece that's missing. If you combine Vivek as he is with someone who's a psychopath, a high savage level, this is going to be, I mean, all the stuff that they think about, the scariest narrative about Biden and how Biden's ruined the country and we're going to become socialists, whatever. I think 10 times worse. Let me be careful on that, because some people do talk some craziness, like they think under Biden we're going to become a socialist country. Let's just eliminate the wackiest of the wacky. Like, Biden ain't pushing us to be no goddamn socialist country. So outside of the most extreme, the type of narratives that they're talking about, I think it'll be far worse. When they talk about authoritarian, blah blah blah, and take away our freedoms and whatnot. So I don't know. I think, and I have a friend who Vivek has, he's caught his attention. He's like, I like that Vivek guy. See, he has it, man. He has that magic. Remember when I did that video and I talked about you want someone who can somehow expand the base, right? Pander to conservatives, you play this religious game and values and we love America and this and that, right? All that rhetoric that's like catnip, and yeah, this guy, he's on our team. But then you gotta structure it in a way where the people in the middle, the independents, they get caught up too. They're like, the media, because for example, you exploit, like the media is going after Vivek, and I guess they don't like him or whatever. So you have independents that can get caught up in that and be like, I see like CNN, they seem to be unfairly going after him, and they said something about him, and I was watching this conservative channel, they pointed out that it was actually a lie. So maybe this actually is a good guy. and the mainstream media, they're going after him because he's a threat to them, right? And you get the independents to vote for you. And you definitely, I mean, I don't think you're going to get much over like the centrists, but you might get some of the people, what is it, left of center, I guess. You know, some of the normie liberals that aren't paying that much attention. They don't know how deep the rabbit hole goes, and they just see just the right clips. I mean, this guy is very, very good. I listened to him, and listen, just to let you guys know, my analysis of Vivek is not coming from like, oh, CNN said this and some left-wing channel. No, I've been observing him in his element. I've watched him do interviews on like right-wing channels and things like that, and I've seen the way he speaks. And this guy is very, very sneaky. He's very skilled. I think the average American is not. They just don't have the ability to see beyond like the tricks that he's using. I think will be very effective. The average American is just not going to be able to see through it. And I'll give you a good example. The way he frames the climate stuff, I think is an example of excellent like propaganda skills, right? So he says the climate agenda is a hoax, right? This is catnip and has a very powerful impact on a right-wing base, a GOP base, right? A lot of them are, you know, climate change isn't real, blah, blah, blah. And then when he says the climate agenda, it's a hoax, right? They feel like he's one of them. He's speaking their language, so he's got them. Yes, somebody who agrees with us, and he's not afraid to say it. He's not even hiding. He's you know, he has the strength to say it out loud. This is a hoax, right? They love that, right? But if, and liberal media will do this, they'll go and they'll say he doesn't believe in climate change. He says climate change is a hoax, whatever, right? Then you get somebody like Tim Pool. And I'm not saying they've done this. I haven't seen anyone do this, but this is the way it would work. You have somebody like a Tim Pool or someone else like that who will do a video exposing liberal media for saying something that he didn't actually say, right? So liberal media will say he says climate change is a hoax, right? And then a Tim Pool will show the video where that's not what he said. He says the climate change agenda. And that is a masterclass in propaganda, right? How you're able to fence sit and appeal to both sides, right? One side thinks you're with them because you sound like you're saying one thing, but they feel like you're saying climate change is a hoax, right? But that's not what you actually said. You sent that message to them, but that's not the words you used, right? You sent a specific message to the base you're pandering to, but you used alternative words to convey that message. These are the words I used. This is the message I conveyed, and that was by design, right? But because the words you used didn't match what you actually were trying to communicate, you can protect yourself from the other side and grab some of those people too, right? Because the people who hear from liberal media, he says climate change is fake, right? Tim Pool can easily go and expose that and say that's not what he said. He's talking about the agenda. He's talking about the way that we approach climate change. Like people will legitimately, and then like independents and stuff will fall for that. They'd be like, oh man, the liberal media are always lying. That's not, he actually does believe in climate change or whatever. But the thing about it is, he is saying whatever it takes to get those votes. So it's not that he believes in climate change or doesn't believe in climate change or he thinks it's the whatever. He's being very strategic in the words that he uses to appeal to voters, right? And he's doing a very good job because you're going to get the right-wingers. You're going to get independents as well, who at first will be suspicious, but then again, these propagandists and right-wing media will go and say, no, that's not what he said, right? They're going out there smearing him, saying that he doesn't believe climate change. He never said that. Anybody that says that, ask them, show me where he said climate change is not real. Right? And then they might even show a video that I've seen some left-wing people show an old video where he actually specifically says that he believes in climate change. He believes in us. You know what I mean? Like, that's so perfect. It's like, look, the guy literally, here's an old video of him acknowledging climate change is real, the way we're, like, so this stuff that the liberal media is saying, it's all lies, right? Missing the point that he's strategically parsing his words in a way, it's like speaking out of both sides of your mouth. On one side, it's like, climate change is fake. Not actually saying that word, just sending that message. On the other side, no. I believe climate change is real, but we have to be more rational about the way we approach it, right? That can appeal to an independent. And people say, you know what? I believe climate change is real. And they saying this guy doesn't believe, but looks like he does believe in it. He's just saying that the way we're approaching it, And then if you watch enough of this stuff, you know, the left is going too far, and then you hear this guy and he says things the right way, you're like, let me hear what he has to say. And then he frames things in a way where, oh, it's a cult, You're like, yeah. And you might just vote for the guy. Right? He's very good at what he does. So, at a minimum, Vivek represents a massive threat to this country, just in terms of, imagine I had a button in my house that was connected to a nuclear bomb, right? I would therefore represent a massive risk to this country, right? Now, I'm not trying to bomb anybody. I'm not trying to, so if I had that, I wouldn't be pushing the button, but you don't know that, right? The fact that I have access to this button makes me a big risk to the country, right? Because you don't know what I'm going to do. Maybe I get drunk one night, or I hit my head or something. One man having access to pushing a button and going, a nuclear bomb going up, that's the risk. So I think Vivek is a similar way. So I'm not saying he's going to do evil things or he's an evil guy or whatever, not any more evil than other politicians. But I'm just saying he's got a button that connects to a nuclear bomb. And he has the ability to get himself in a position of power. I think he can win. Against Trump, I don't know. But if Trump is out of the picture, I could see Vivek potentially winning. And if he wins, he's going to be a guy, well, he's going to literally have access to a button. But you know what I mean? It's like, it's the risk of Vivek is just that he has the power and skill to really do some damage to this country if he so chooses. The question is, does he so choose? I don't know his morality. I don't know his character, right? I just know he has great skill. So it's kind of like and another analogy is, you know, you have someone who is around you and they're like is there like a double black belt or something like that? I mean, they could snap anybody's neck they wanted at any moment. No, they're not a violent person. We have no reason to think they would do it. But it's just that this person is basically a human weapon, right? So that's the risk, right? If the person happens to have intentions to harm people, the problem is that they have the great ability to do so. That's Vivek to me. If he has the intention to do a lot of damage, right, in terms of quest for power and whatever, I think he has what it takes, right? Look at what Trump got away with. Look at what Trump did. Vivek would do much, much more. He's exactly the type of character that I was predicting. But again, I know people are going to miss that detail. The important detail is not the power that he has to, you know, manipulate people. It's what he chooses to do with this power. With great power comes great responsibility, right? He has the ability to manipulate time, go back in time, right? That in itself is not the issue. The issue is the guy who has the ability to manipulate time has bad intentions. Whew. Like, you're at the mercy of this guy, because this guy could go back in time and like wipe you out. You know, you never existed. That is Vivek. He is what's that guy? I don't know, purple guy. I'll leave it at that. Anyway, let me look through the chat and then end this live stream. Boom, 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 boom. Vivek would have probably won Minnesota, New Hampshire, and Virginia, plus all the states Trump won if Vivek was the 2016 nominee. Wow. I'm glad you're worried about him. He would totally backpedal for the general election. Yeah, that's another thing. Yeah, he's the type of guy. He's smart enough, so he would say crazy stuff, but say it in the right way, where he has an escape hatch, and then during the general, people try to own him and be like, well, 6 months ago you said climate change is not real. No, that's absolutely not. I did not say that. That's not not true. That is not true. That's not what I said. This is, people are misconstruing my work. I can't even do impression of it. That's not what I said. What I said was the climate change agenda. That's what you take parts of my words and try to change it to. This is why American people are sick of this dishonesty and the smearing of people who disagree with what you said. You know, if you're gonna challenge what I said, challenge what I actually said, not what you think I said or what you want me to say. I said the agenda, not the. Vivek. This guy has it, man. He would totally backpedal Vagina. He seems a lot like Donald Trump without the baggage. Yep, I see why you're watching him. Yeah, man. He's got the golden touch, man. The question again remains: what does he plan to do with it? Right? He's got the button. Is he gonna push it? I don't know. I'll keep paying attention to him. Try to see what information I can get on him, what he's done in the past. Try to get a gauge on his character, because the only thing I can tell right now is he definitely is a dishonest guy. He's definitely an opportunist for sure. He's the kind of guy that will say whatever it takes to get what he wants. Right? He has no problem with that. Play a character on TV, you know, pretend to be one thing when he's not. But I just don't know about his morality. You know. That's the thing. That's the important detail, right? And it's an interesting thing to ponder, because what's the morality of most of our previous presidents? How much do they care about human suffering? You know what I mean? Like stuff that they're doing, and to be fair, like for example, a doctor can't be crying every time someone dies, right? I mean, you're dealing with life and death situations. People are gonna die, unfortunately, but you got to do the job. You have to be to some level numb. You want to have empathy. You know, you want to care about people. You want to do the best for them, but on some level, you have to be numb, because you can't be walking around the hospital crying all day and you know, you're afraid to do your job because, oh, what if he dies? Like, you have to, there's some level of like get the job done. So in fairness, president has to have a similar level of numbness as well. I mean, there's decisions that you, as a president, you have to make that, you know, maybe if you do one thing, you know, 500,000 people will die. If you do another thing, 1 million people will die. But the point is, either way, you're about to do something that's going to result in massive deaths. So you're just going to sit there and be paralyzed, or you're going to make a decision. You're going to be a leader, and you're going to make a decision on which direction the country should go. So, you know, we got to appreciate there's some level of that required for the president, but there's that, and then there's savagery, right? Because you could have a doctor who, I mean, there's the one doctor who's got the numbness to where get the job done. I'm not sitting here all like, oh, what if they die, right? You're focused, you get the job done, right? And then you got the other guy who's a doctor who, it's not just that he has the level of numbness required to do the job and to be focused. He actually doesn't care, right? He actually literally does not care, right? So when he's operating on a patient, maybe the right thing to do is to do a certain procedure, but they're curious to know about what would happen if they do something else, and they play with someone's life, right? They go and they do like the other thing, right? Just to like out of curiosity, like That's the dangerous kind. Like, a president needs to have a certain level of numbness, but there's a level of numbness to where you have no heart at all, and where it doesn't matter who dies, right? You just care about your power. Because like the president who, you know, he has to decide between 500,000 deaths and 1,000,000, right? A good leader, you know, makes a decision. Hopefully he goes for the 500,000, depending on the scenario, right? And he feels remorse about it. It's a tough thing, but he gets it done. He's not gonna delay longer than he needs to, but it's something that, you know, it's heavy on his heart, right? As opposed to a president who doesn't care, 500,000, 1,000,000, like, whatever, right? So if you're that type of president, then what that means is, you know, you're going to focus on whatever your personal interests. So with that 500,000 versus 1,000,000, you know, if the 1,000,000 deaths somehow benefits you in some way, right? And you don't care about deaths, right? Like, how many times are you going to do things that you know is going to lead to a lot of suffering, and you're just going to like casually just like, oh, whatever. Like, that is the dangerous part. Right? Anyway, thanks for watching, guys. This is Baby Channel. Leave in the comment section below, click on the like button, subscribe, smash that bell. Be well. What do you think about Shiva? I don't even know who that is. Is she the one that who was the one that, there was a guy, I don't even know who the Swami guy is, man. He just came out of nowhere. There was a guy who I think looks like him that I remember during the pandemic. This guy I'm thinking of, isn't he a documentary maker? Is that who you're talking about? There's somebody who was making some weird documentaries, and they're hardcore like influencer. They're on Twitter all day posting stuff. Oh, the Democrats, blah 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 blah. I wonder if that's who you're talking about. I don't think Swami is the one. Who? Comment below. I'm gonna end the live stream, but comment below. Who is the guy I'm talking about? Who is the guy that may look like Swami that does documentaries and is always on Twitter posting craziness? Well, posting stuff, political stuff. All right, guys, I'm out.